From the time that I went to his workshop to the time of my first podcast, it was within 90 days.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Okay.
It is not. I am not.
Why? I mean, go ahead.
What his selling point was for the brand of the organization, I needed to have a podcast.
Okay.
And for me, I'm not my business is the adult beverage business. I'm a retailer. I have 2 stores and a warehouse. And I'm not an expert on alcohol, wine and spirits and beer. And I really didn't want to talk about it all the time. But he was still saying, well, you can come up with something else that helps build your brand.
Can you start a podcast in a small town? Can it help build community? What does it do for you? I am Toby Lyles and my esteemed son,
Maverick Lyles.
And this is the Voices on the Wind podcast.
Yeah. And if you haven't checked out our newsletter, that's votw.substack.com. You should definitely check that out. And this is Steve Abrams.
I grew up in Mississippi. I grew up in the South.
Okay.
And my grandfather ran a mercantile store, which mercantile in the old days just sold about everything. The store started off by selling, you could buy nails, you could buy bullets, you could buy a gun, you could buy a tricycle, a wheelbarrow, you could buy fencing, roofing material, nails, plumbing material, bathtub, heater, paint, whatever. And in time, it just became a hardware store, essentially. But he would bring in coffee from the French market down in New Orleans. He would buy produce from the local farmers and put it on the train and go sell it down in the French market in New Orleans, the mercantile side of it. And I grew up in that store, and people would just come in and talk. They just chat, and you get to know people. And I feel as though conversation is waning in our culture. I appreciate and embrace technology. I also feel as though we really need to embrace how to have a conversation, how to look someone in the eye and say, nice to meet you. My name's Stephan. Shake their hand. That's what I was taught in that store. And that's coming from someone my grandfather was born in 1904. And all the gentlemen who worked in that store were probably born sometime around then. And they were very influential in my life and showed me how to engage with people and talk to people, especially the customers. You looked at them and you said, hello, nice to see you today. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Can I carry this out for you? And I wanted to carry that forward. So that's where the Jackson Hole connection came from, where it was connecting people through conversation and stories. I connected it or assimilated it to just sit down on the front porch and have a cup of coffee with somebody and have a conversation. It's just meeting, visiting. As my grandparents used to call it, it's called sit down and let's go visit with somebody. And that's what you do.
You had a background in talking with folks and connecting, and this was a good thing for the business, it sounds like. Is that why you started the podcast? I mean, for those who don't know, it's a lot of work to start a podcast. It's a bit of a risk. Was that the drive? 20 other people in that conference, and some of them did not start, but you did start. Why do you think you started?
I started because I'm stubborn. When I get something on my mind, I go do it. Okay. And you're right. Starting a podcast or starting any business is not easy. It takes drive. It takes commitment, resolve. And was it worth it? To me, it was worth it because people are still listening to it, even though I'm not doing the podcast anymore. I did 250 episodes.
Yeah.
So when I hear people say that they just listen to it, I love it. Absolutely love it. Was it worth it financially? It cost the business some money.
Oh, yeah.
I never was able to monetize the podcast.
Okay.
And that's important for people that want to do it. Are you going to do this podcast just out of your own heart that you're giving something to people? Or is this a business where you're going to make money? And it takes a lot to monetize what your message is. And you have to find other businesses or individuals, but more likely other businesses that say, all right, I lean into that and I'm going to support you early on. Early on, I might have had maybe 100 downloads per episode, might have gotten 150 per episode. Now that it's been out in the ether for a while, it's certainly grown, but it was not, I was not 1,000, 10,000 episode download episode podcast. It takes a lot to be there. And I don't say that to discourage people. I say that to just give the reality of it all. But did it bring business to my business? That's hard to track. I don't think it did. But people appreciated what I provided. Some of the people I interviewed are no longer living.
Okay.
And they were in our community for decades. And their names, there's awards and scholarships named after these folks. They had huge impact in our community, in our state, around the country. And it was a great honor to be able to talk to some of those people.
Did you at any, I mean, you got through 250, which is a pretty serious slog. Like at, number 15 or 40 or I don't know, 100. Did you ever say to yourself, what am I doing? I'm spending a lot of money. I'm not getting, I don't really want to sell to my friends. Like, this is a hard thing to do.
The imposter syndrome or imposter phenomenon would settle in many times. Am I the right person to do this? Should I do it? Should I not? Yes. Was it every episode? No. Was it every 10 episodes? Who I don't recall. But yes. Was I second guessing myself? Should I keep doing this? I did it many times. I really struggled with giving it up. But when I allowed myself some time to think, I knew I needed to give it up. I knew I needed to stop because I'd committed my time to something else.
Let's talk about the imposter syndrome. How did you deal with that? The voice that said you were not the right person to do this.
The imposter syndrome can certainly appear, whether you're doing your own podcast, any business that you have, or any role that you have. Am I good enough for this? Should I be doing this? Am I the right person? And how did I work through it? I allowed myself some time to think and reflect. I would also reflect back at some of the interviews I did and how meaningful they were to me and the people I met. My 50th episode, I'm Jewish, and I interviewed a friend of mine who's unfortunately no longer with us. He just recently passed away. But he was a World War II refugee survivor. He did not call himself a Holocaust survivor because he was never in a concentration camp.
Okay.
He was never in the ghetto. He was one of the kids rescued from Germany by the British Quakers.
Oh.
And he and his sister were rescued. They were part of that group that rode the train to England, and they found places for them to live. And fortunately, his mom and grandmother were the chaperones, so they were saved as well.
Wow!
And his name was Bert Romberg, and his episode was an hour and a half long.
Wow!
No other episode was that long, and that was very meaningful. And to be able to share that story with other people to hear it, because I had never heard that detail, and people with that experience are dying. And some of the other people I interviewed and them hearing their story of what it was like in Jackson when they moved here in the 30s and the 40s, those people are dying. And it's important to carry those stories forward because life in the West, life in Wyoming, in rural America was hard. And the one thing that I remember many people sharing with me was it took a community. You relied on your community, your neighbors. You helped them and they helped you.
Is there anything else that was one of your favorite episodes?
Sitting down and listening and speaking with Clarion Law. She's no longer with us.
Okay.
She was a hotel operator, but she also was a state representative for our community here in town. Listening, that was a great honor to be able to talk to Clarion Law. Also, sitting down and talking to a gentleman, Bob Shervin. He had a gas station, filling station here. And just hearing that story. And I also interviewed one of his grandsons and heard a little bit more about the family history. Okay. And that was a lot of fun.
Why was that so fun? It was a gas station.
Well, you just hear from someone who grew up here and what Jackson was like. And it's the same with a lot of Western communities. You go in there now and what you see now is not the way it was 80 years ago. Where a lot of people's homes and where they're living, that was a dairy farm. It was a cattle farm. And just put it in perspective. And kids are always up to shenanigans. And one of the stories that Bob told me was when he and his buddies were of driving age, they knew where the sheriff took a nap in his car. And they went and took a chain and wrapped it around the sheriff's bumper and then took the chain and wrapped it around the light pole.
Oh, wow.
And decided to go speeding by the sheriff when he's taking his nap. And he tried to take off.
Boom.
And he didn't make it very far.
Wow. Now, I think you basically said the answer to this is no. But you mentioned that you got really busy. And this is my business. I do a bunch of, help people with podcasts. And I've had more than one client start a podcast. Whether they make money on it or not is irrelevant because eventually they start getting, people ask them to be on the board and, they get involved in somebody else's business. So they get really busy and they're like, I'm sorry, I can't keep up with the podcast. My question is, of course, do you feel like the podcast helped you make those connections to be more involved in the community or more engaged in, I don't know, whatever you wanted to be engaged in? Did opportunities come in any way from that?
I don't think there were immediate returns on that.
Not
but
like
as
day
I was
one,
doing it,
first episode.
Not so much.
Yeah.
It probably strengthened some relationships.
How so?
In the sense that people I've just known on the street for years through business or through just being in the community. And you see people when you go someplace with regularity and you say hello to them and you get to know their name and a little bit about them. And they would listen or they would comment, oh, I like that episode. I enjoyed it. Or maybe you should call so-and-so to interview them. People would give me feedback and thoughts on that. And that would happen over time. So for anyone who's thinking about, oh, I'm going to go start my podcast, for you to think that day one is going to be this shift in the way the world is revolving, do not expect that. It will take time. Everything great takes time. There is no such thing as an overnight success. If there is, please correct me.
Yeah, let us know about it. I'm interested.
But the thing that happens is people see, oh, look how successful this person is, or look how many followers, it's new. And actually, probably not. The person who is doing whatever business or media, whatever, they've probably been working on it in the background for years.
Yeah.
But it's how you see it when it was introduced to you. And success takes time and it takes effort.
Yeah, this is that 10, 15, 20-year overnight success.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's right.
So you had to wrap it up. You said you got busy. And I mean, you've kind of talked about it, so maybe there's nothing else to cover there. But the emotions of that, or did you have any, throw a party, or I don't know. What'd that look like?
Well, before I get into that question, if I may, you mentioned busy.
Well,
we are all busy. It's all a matter of what we do with our time. I could say I am busy beyond busy. Well, it's all a matter of how we manage what comes our way. And when it came to ending and wrapping up the podcast, it came to the decision or a point in time, and I've learned this and I can still be better at doing this, which is to be able to say no. It is important for us all to know and be comfortable with saying to someone else no. Because with our time, everybody's time is valuable. My time is no more valuable than yours or somebody else that's listening or anybody that I work with. And we all have to be able to set those limitations or boundaries or expectations of ourselves. And when you can learn to comfortably say, thank you, however, that's not what I should do right now. So essentially saying no. And that's what ending the podcast came down to. I needed to tell myself no.
Wow.
Because I had committed to other responsibilities. And in doing so, it was part of that thoughtful process, that process that I went through of thinking of what do I do? And I had to be comfortable with saying, Stephan, you need to tell yourself no with continuing the podcast. And when I came to that realization, that's when I was able to do it. Was there a parade or a party? Not so much. I did do a final episode, and Michael was my editor, and talk about the one person who listened to every single second of every recording of every episode. That's Michael.
Yeah.
Michael Morey. He did that for me. And he now has helped other people edit and get their podcasts going as well. And he and I did a wrap up and said our farewells. And it was, will it come back? We'll see.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. We don't do a lot of remote podcasts. We might do a couple more. We typically do in person, but I got connected with Stephan Abrams. He was just really a pleasure to talk to, really kind. And, he talked about how he learned to do just conversation and be friendly. Now, I'm not sure I'm always that friendly, but I really loved how his goal of community was a main driver for a podcast. That's probably one of the first times I've heard that. But most people who start podcasts will say that, the money, you can make money with it. There's a lot of other advantages, a lot of personal growth. But one of the biggest things is the relationships and networks that you make, both for business and for personal, are just incredible. It's an excuse to get together with somebody.
Yeah.
And we've really enjoyed the people we've talked with on this podcast. They're turning out to be good friends and just great business relationships. I don't know, some really good folks though. So I think we're finding the same thing, that there's a social advantage. And I feel like, as Stephan said, that's really important today.
Yeah.
It's really important to have that, the relationship, the community, and as we know, events of the world, that's just really important.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I took away from that.
Yeah, I think agree with that point. And then emphasize the point of community in a podcast. And honestly, we've seen that that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the main reason we're doing this is, I mean, obviously to help people, but yeah, the community is really important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought that was really good. And yeah, thank you all for joining us today. You can, if you haven't liked, subscribe, please do that. But that's all for today. Shoot, what should I end with?
Till then, my friends. Happy sailing is how we normally end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.